The first thing that happens is they harvest the tea in the tea fields. This is green tea we're talking about, so it has a really long history in Japan, and it has a very important role in Japanese culture. And the farmers then bring it to the green tea factory where they sort the tea. They sort out all of the leaves that are not appropriate for making the green tea, and they also sort out the twigs and things like that. And they have machines to do this. And after all of the tea is sorted, they put the appropriate leaves in these tumbling cookers, basically. They're cooker machines that cycle the leaves around for very long periods of time at a hot temperature, but not so hot that they burn. And they basically are grilling these moving tea leaves in these cycling containers for many, many hours to get rid of the moisture within the tea leaves themselves. And from that point, they can put the tea through another machine, which basically grinds up the tea leaves and cuts up the tea leaves into a point where it can become a powder base. Most of us, I think even Dr. Matsubara, who is Japanese, had never been to a green tea factory before. And to know the origins and the process for this beverage that when you're in Japan, it's everywhere. It's in vending machines, it's obviously used in traditional ceremonies called green tea ceremonies. And so to see the process that goes behind it is really interesting. I also thought that the sterilization of the factory was really impressive and unexpected. I mean, when we were coming in there as visitors, we had to wear caps, we had to wear gowns and gloves. No part of us could be exposed because if any of those parts got into the tea, it would be bad for sanitation, but it would also ruin its purity. So they're very meticulous about allowing outside agents into the factory, which I thought was really remarkable as well. Because the factory is not open for all people to come tour all the time, the fact that we had the support from the Ibigawa government to be there as kind of a sister city convoy to Ibigawa from Dixie State University, they treated us really super well, and they gave us opportunities to see things that otherwise normal people wouldn't be able to see if they were visiting these places. So we got kind of this personalized tour of the factory, and we got to try the green tea, and later we actually attended a green tea ceremony, and that was all facilitated by the city and their government, and having that honor to be able to go in and look at it and to be shown the process was pretty cool. Also, I think what surprised me is how hospitable they were. Like when we got there, they had our places set out on the table in the office where they had like a place for each one of us, and they had a brochure and little bottles of tea, and they're very thoughtful. They knew how many of us were coming, and they had a kind of place for each one of us, which was like really nice. And pretty typical in Japan, we found most places we went, people were super hospitable and thoughtful about welcoming us. So one of the neat things about this experience was that we got to see the entire production process, and then we actually got to consume it. So we saw from production to consumption, which was really neat. And on the consumption side, we not only were consuming green tea, but we actually experienced an official green tea ceremony. So we went to a green tea house that was next to a history museum that they had there. And it's kind of a place that they have that is a replica of what life might have been, say, 200 years ago in Japan. And the women who worked there were dressed in traditional kimono, and they served us the green tea in the traditional fashion. They are also volunteers, which was kind of neat. They just are people that volunteer their time because they enjoy showing people that experience. So that was really kind of them, and it was a really great way to see how this stuff that was being made in the factory actually is consumed in a cultural context.